got some other entrepreneurs on the session. I know Gilbert is there. Do you have any questions for Roy?
I guess just the one that I want to ask is what you said about the equity for your team members. Again, just because you said you didn't do that from the beginning. So when did you start to do that, and how did you decide to allocate equity for which roles?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we did it from the beginning for the core team at Real Sport, but we didn't do it for anyone else, which was really the mistake. In terms of how to assess that, ultimately a lot of it's going to come down to who's taking the most risk, and that could be because they're joining at the earlier stage where salaries are nothing. It could be them joining a bit later down the line, but they're on a 300k salary and they're going to come down to 100k, for example. So I think you've really got to align it to risk, but you should always be driving to keep 10% minimum of the equity in your company open as an option pool, and you should have your investors aligned to say in each additional round you will top up the option pool to keep it at 10%. Because right now with the war on talent the way it is, one of the things we've benefited from at Connected is people who have made it past probation, people who are part of the team. I think we have a 98% retention. No one leaves, and if you can keep your people engaged, if you can keep them excited about the journey, you're going to save a lot of money on the recruitment side, so you can and save so much time on chasing your own tail if people leave. So it should be quite an easy pitch to your investors to say every single round we all commit to keeping the option pool at 10%, so to make sure you've got enough to play with, because otherwise you allocate some and then it's like, oh, I've only got a little bit left. So hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, Douglas, you're a serial entrepreneur. What about luck and bad luck? How have you found it?
Oh, I agree with absolutely everything that Roy has said today, and I'm particularly encouraged to hear him speak about the treatment of bankruptcy in this country, which is an absolute folly. It's amazing that there's not enough of a groundswell that will make it change, because it is the single greatest burden that serial entrepreneurs have in this country. You declare bankruptcy and it's all over for you. That's not the way in which innovation works.
Totally agree, Douglas. You've put it so well there, but it's exactly that. It's going to stifle innovation when the potential loss is so high. It's such a fundamental flaw in the way that we look at risk here, and it's no shock that we're so far behind the US as a result.
And Roy, you were luck, I know, and skill that your first venture was a success, but so many serial entrepreneurs, it's not until venture number 5 or later that they really make it all the way. So that's a huge setback if you've gone through 4 chapter 11s or whatever it might be. So I think it's a great start that you managed to get it, had such a great idea and got this away early on. That's why you're 30 under 30, Roy. You managed to do it very quickly.
But you know what, it's funny. This is where I really, really liken it to maybe a career in music or a career in acting. It's not about having one hit. It's about being at the top for as long as you can, right? So you can for all I know, Real Sport could be a one-hit wonder, and then you go into sort of unheard of territory and you get no more success from then on. Or you could be like a Samuel Jackson, where you're just doing bit part roles for 45 years and then make it big and have an amazing back end of the career. It's all about consistency. I think it's again one of the most difficult things about being an entrepreneur and having that much risk is, and I think as an entrepreneur as well, you'll never want to rest on your laurels. Real Sport went well, so much luck, very, very happy, but now it's right on to the next one. And that's why people love the Bransons, that's why people love or hate, the Musks, the Bezos, whoever it might be. It's because it's all about staying good for as long as you can, not just being good at a certain time. And it's a journey, but it's a lifestyle choice, and it's a long, long career. And just because you've had one does not mean they're all coming. So I think you need to always stay hyper realistic and stay very, very grounded to make sure that no complacency kicks in, because the market will kick in much harder.
Caroline, you may not have seen, there's a question from Karen that's coming on the chat.
I haven't seen that. Karen can't speak, so the question is, do you think, so she says, love the journey of becoming an entrepreneur and out of necessity. Do you think that this means you had qualities others may not have, e.g. extreme drive through not feeling able to fail?
It's hard for me to comment on anyone else's journey, but I know that for me, growing up, there was no safety net. If I didn't go and get it for myself, that was it, right? So I always had that extreme, drive to work. And with ADHD in school, I found it incredibly difficult, which is why, although I'm not an idiot, I struggled to get into university because it just didn't work for me in that sense. The work ethic's always been there. But I do see at Connected, we speak, we've got 1,200 entrepreneurs using our software. There are a lot of people who play entrepreneur, right? There are a lot of people who do it because it's a popular thing to do right now, and for them the stakes are much lower. And that's not to say they won't succeed, but that everyone needs motivation. For some people it's revenge. I know lots of entrepreneurs who have got a real point to prove. For some people it's hunger, for some people it's safety, security. But I think the stronger the motivator, the stronger the fire under the feet, the better the chances of the grittiness and just almost psychopathic trade-off of everything else that a normal human being would do in life in order to make something work. So yeah, I definitely think if you've got that strong push, you're willing to make the sacrifices. But I don't like glorifying it. I think sometimes being an entrepreneur does not make you the best parent. It does not make you necessarily the best partner, for example, because it's it's all encompassing. So it's not for everyone as well.
Peter.
Ray, thanks very much. I'm really enjoying this discussion. You mentioned everything you need to sacrifice to commit to the journey. But when you have those self-doubts, when you need somebody to talk to outside the company, where do you go? Or do you have people within the company, within the board, that you can relate those self-doubts to?
Yeah, it's such a good question, Peter, and thank you for it. I recently put up a post on LinkedIn just saying I want to open up my calendar for a day to entrepreneurs who just want to have a chat about the self-doubt, about what we're going through, because it's a very, very lonely journey. And I opened up 24 slots, and within about 6 minutes, they'd all gone. So I'm actually going to create a group for founders to give each other the support, because the thing is, it's such a unique journey, and unless you're fortunate enough to have an entrepreneur who's actually a good friend who will be real with you, because often when entrepreneurs speak to other entrepreneurs, it's a measuring contest, let's say, and that's the reality of it. Yeah, absolutely. So unless you're fortunate to have someone in your personal circle who happens to be going through this exact same journey, it's incredibly difficult. I think we all need to work on breaking down those barriers, because we're all going through the same things. I've got very close friends who have built amazing businesses. Self-doubt exists. All the things we're all going through, we've all got them along the way. So I think we need to break down barriers and have founders being more real with each other, and things like ChairX. Caroline, what you've built is amazing. This is what I would love to recreate on the founder side. It's or something similar, because it's all about having these conversations and realizing that we need to help each other through this, because it's tough.
That's great. Thank you.
Excellent, Roy. Well, I think you may have a few more slides in here, so keep the questions coming. Very open to answering any of your questions.